My boss made me miss family events. New boss values balance, and I haven't missed single event in 2 years. I was standing in the office bathroom with my hair half pinned up, staring at my reflection like I could will myself into 2 places at once. My phone was wedged between my shoulder and my ear, and I could hear my mom in the background at home, plates clinking, voices rising and falling, that warm chaos of family gathering, while my boss's emails kept chiming like a metronome of doom. The fluorescent lights made my skin look gray. I'd changed from my work blouse into a dress I'd stuffed into my tote, but the zipper was stuck and my hands were shaking too much to force it. "Katie, are you on your way?" my mom asked, trying to sound casual, but I could hear the hope in it. This was my dad's retirement dinner. We'd booked the private room weeks ago. There were balloons. There was a speech my brother and I wrote together. I swallowed and felt my throat burn. "I'm trying," I said, even as my inbox refreshed again. Then my boss's name popped up on my screen like a jump scare. "Need you on the 7 p.m. call. Client escalated. Non-negotiable." It was a Wednesday night, and the thing that still makes me angry when I think about it is that nothing was on fire. Nobody was dying. The client wasn't about to collapse into a sinkhole. It was just the kind of manufactured urgency my old boss loved, panic as a leadership style, availability as a loyalty test. I worked in account management at a mid-sized marketing firm, and my boss, Brent, treated the job like we were surgeons. He loved saying, "We're in the business of trust," as if missing your father's retirement dinner was the price of being trustworthy. When I saw that email, my stomach dropped in this familiar way, like my body recognized the pattern before my brain even caught up. I stared at my phone, then at the bathroom door, then back at my phone. My mom's voice was still in my ear. "Your aunt just got here," she said. "She brought that cake you like." I pictured it, my family sitting around the table, my dad in his good shirt pretending he wasn't emotional, my mom making sure everyone ate, my brother rehearsing his speech in his head. And I pictured Brent in his glass office, calm as ever, typing non-negotiable like it was a mic drop. I tried to negotiate anyway, because I always did. I texted Brent, "I'm at my dad's retirement dinner tonight. Can someone else cover? I can join after 8:30. The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, then his reply came fast, "We all have lives. Handle it. We all have lives." Like mine was an inconvenience. Like my family was a hobby. I slid down against the bathroom wall, the tile cold on the back of my legs. My chest felt tight, the way it does when you're trying not to cry somewhere you're supposed to be professional. My mom said my name again, more quietly this time. "Katie?" she asked. "Are you okay?" I wanted to tell her the truth. I wanted to say, "No, I'm not okay, because my job keeps stealing my life and I keep letting it." But I could already hear her trying to soothe me, already hear her saying, "It's okay, honey, your dad will understand." And my dad would understand, because he always understood, which somehow made it worse. "I'm stuck," I said instead. "Work." There was a pause, then my mom's voice softened. "I'll tell him," she said, and I hated the fact that she had to. I showed up at the restaurant at 9:12 p.m., still wearing my office badge because I forgot to take it off. The private room was half empty. The balloons were drooping. My dad was putting leftovers into containers, trying to act cheerful. When he saw me, his face did this thing, brightening, then quickly smoothing out so I wouldn't feel guilty. "There she is," he said, like he was relieved and not hurt. My brother hugged me too tightly and whispered, he waited to do the speech. My chest clenched. I looked at my dad and felt my eyes sting. "I'm sorry," I said. He patted my arm. "I know you work hard," he said. "It's okay." But it wasn't okay. I could tell because my mom wouldn't look at me. Not in an angry way, more like she didn't want me to see her disappointment. And my aunt had already left, and my cousins were gone, and the moment was over. The speech was rushed and quiet, like we were trying not to bother the waitstaff. I smiled in photos that looked like someone else's life. That was one event. There were so many. I missed my niece's first dance recital because Brent scheduled a quick check-in that turned into a 3-hour client call. I missed Easter lunch because an urgent deck needed edits that could have waited until Monday. I missed my best friend's engagement party because Brent decided our team needed to show commitment by staying late for a pitch. The wild part is the work was never done. The finish line kept moving, and I kept running like if I stopped, I'd fall apart. The thing Brent was best at was making you feel like you had a choice while punishing you for making the wrong one. He never said, "You can't go." He said, "I need you," with this implication that if you were a good employee, you would sacrifice. If you didn't, you were not a team player. The pressure wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was subtle. Cooler tone, less praise, the better projects assigned to someone else. It trained you fast. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself it was the industry. I told myself I'd earn my way into a calmer season. Then my grandma got sick. She was the kind of grandma who made everything feel possible just by being in the room, soft hands, steady voice, always saving the corner piece of lasagna for you because she remembered you liked it. When her health started declining, my mom called me crying and said, "We think it's time." I asked Brent for 2 days off to fly home. 2 days. I had PTO saved. I was shaking when I asked, because by that point I'd been conditioned to expect pushback even for basic humanity. Brent didn't even look up from his laptop. "Next week is the Lawson account renewal," he said. Bad timing. I stared at him. "My grandmother is dying," I said, and my voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. I wanted to sound strong. He sighed like I'd presented him with a scheduling inconvenience. "Can you go over the weekend?" he asked. "We need coverage." Something in me went still. Like my body finally understood, if I stayed here, the job would take whatever I offered, and then ask for more. There would never be a moment where Brent looked at me and said, "Go. Be with your family. We'll handle it." I went anyway. I left my laptop with a coworker and turned off my phone on the plane because I couldn't take the buzzing. I held my grandma's hand, and she was barely conscious, but when she squeezed my fingers faintly, I felt this wave of grief mixed with rage. I kept thinking about all the things I'd missed for urgent work that nobody would remember in 6 months. After the funeral, I sat in my childhood bedroom and looked at myself in the mirror and realized I looked older than I should. Not in wrinkles. In exhaustion. In the way my eyes looked like they were always waiting for the next demand. I came back to work and Brent acted like nothing happened. He asked if I'd cleared my head and then dumped a new project on my desk like I hadn't just buried someone. That week, I updated my resume. I didn't even tell myself I was going to leave at first. I told myself I was just looking. But the more I interviewed, the more I realized something that sounds obvious but didn't feel obvious when I was drowning: not every workplace is built on guilt. I got an offer from a smaller company on the client side, still busy, still real work, but a different culture. My new manager's name was Priya. In my final interview, she asked me what I did outside of work, and I almost laughed because I hadn't been asked that in years. When I told Brent I was resigning, he leaned back in his chair and smirked. "You'll be back," he said. "Everyone thinks they want balance until they realize what it costs." I handed him my notice letter with steady hands. "If balance costs me this job," I said, "then I can afford it." He rolled his eyes. "Good luck," he said, like I was naive. My first week at the new job, I kept waiting for the trap. I kept expecting someone to punish me for leaving at 5:30. I kept expecting quick calls at 9 p.m. that weren't quick. I was so used to bracing that peace felt suspicious. Then, 2 months in, my dad called and said he was getting an award from his union and the ceremony was on a Thursday afternoon. I felt that automatic dread rise, because Thursday afternoons used to belong to Brent, to last-minute client fires, to guilt. I emailed Priya, "My dad has an award ceremony Thursday at 3. Can I take off early? I'll make up time." Priya replied within 5 minutes, go celebrate him. No need to make up time. Just enjoy. I stared at the email like it was written in another language. My throat tightened, and I realized I was going to cry at my desk over a normal response. At the ceremony, I sat in the second row next to my mom and felt something unfamiliar, presence. I wasn't checking my phone under the program. I wasn't anxious about what I'd come back to. I watched my dad walk up to the stage, shoulders back, and when he spotted me in the crowd, his smile was wide and unguarded. I clapped until my hands hurt. Afterward, my mom hugged me and whispered, "This is what it's supposed to be like." That moment became the marker for everything that followed. When my niece had another recital, I requested the afternoon off and went. When my brother had a housewarming, I went. When my mom called and said, "Can you come down this weekend? We're doing a family photo," I didn't have to negotiate with my job like my life was a crime. It wasn't that the new company never had busy seasons. We had launches. We had deadlines. We had stressful days. But Priya didn't treat emergencies like a personality trait. She planned. She delegated. She didn't glorify burnout. She'd say, "Log off," and mean it. The most surprising change wasn't my schedule. It was my body. I stopped waking up with my jaw clenched. I stopped feeling my heart race every time my phone buzzed. I started making dinner without eating it standing up. I started calling my parents just to talk, not just to apologize for missing something. The world didn't end when I protected my time. Work still got done. Clients still renewed. The sky stayed where it was. 2 years ago, I realized I hadn't missed a single family event since starting this job. Not one. It hit me at my mom's birthday dinner, when she raised her glass and said, "Having you here means everything." I felt this quiet grief for the version of me who thought she had to earn her place in her own family by sacrificing it. Sometimes I still get angry when I think about Brent. Not because he's special. Because there are so many Brents. So many workplaces that treat time like it belongs to them by default. And the thing I want to tell anyone stuck under someone like that is, they will take whatever you give, and then call it normal. They will take your evenings, and then your weekends, and then your milestones, and then your grief, and they will still act like you're not doing enough. The day I left, Brent didn't congratulate me. He didn't say thank you. He just looked at me like I was a betrayal. And that told me everything. If your absence feels like betrayal to your workplace, it's because your presence was being exploited. I'm not saying quitting is easy. I know people have bills, kids, responsibilities. But I am saying, don't let anyone convince you that being available all the time is the same thing as being valuable. The people who love you don't want your leftovers. And you shouldn't have to attend your own life like a guest who arrives after the cake is gone. Thanks for watching. If you've ever missed something important because a job treated your time like it didn't matter, share your story in the comments. I read them, and you never know who needs to hear that balance isn't a fantasy, it's a standard you're allowed to ask for.